What's good, everybody? Hope y'all doing well. In this video, I'm going to show y'all how I made a guitar beat for Lil Baby, similar to his song Russian Roulette on his recent album, It's Only Me. And you already know this beat is made from scratch, so I'm going to show y'all the whole process of making it. And I'm not going to say too much else, so let's just jump right into the sample. So I started with a tempo of 162 beats per minute. So for my guitar sound, I went into Contact. I got the Session Guitarist Electric Sunburst Bank, and I got the Clean Blue preset from it. So going into the MIDI, I started with my key of C minor. The first thing I did is I laid out my root note pattern, and the root notes that I laid down were C, A sharp, G sharp, and going back up to A sharp here in the 8th measure. And this chord progression is pretty common in a lot of pain and melodic beats. This is also known as the 1-7-6 chord progression. So after getting the basses down on the bottom notes here, I moved on to the top melody. And originally I think I ended up playing this in on my MIDI keyboard, and then I just went back in and quantized it. For this, I'm pretty much just using the notes in the C minor scale and also utilizing what would be like the middle notes in these chords. If I move some of these top notes down, you can see that these fit within the gaps on the bass notes here. And to finish the melody, I went and hit Alt-R on my keyboard and adjusted this velocity knob to randomize the velocities. So this is what the first guitar melody sounds like, dry without any effects on it. Then I opened up RC20 and I turned all the effects off except for the space. I turned up the decay quite a bit and moved this up to about 40%. Then I opened up a chorus on the CE chorus preset. Now the melody sounds like this. So after putting down the first guitar melody, I then opened up Omnisphere and got the Lotus Flute preset. And since we already had a top counter melody with the guitar, I wanted to put in something that was a little bit simpler, so that's why I have a lot of longer sustaining notes here. After the flute, I opened up X-Band 2 and I got the next fretless preset from the bass guitar section. And for this pattern, I pretty much just copied the bass notes from the guitar pattern and just put in a bass guitar pattern with it. The only difference is I think I moved the C down 1 octave from where it originally was. To add a little bit more ambience to the sample, I opened up Arcade and added some vocal chops. These are from the Distant Voices line from the Plateau preset, and this is what the vocal chops sound like in context with both the guitar and the bass guitar. For effects on the vocals, I opened up Reverb again. I believe it's also from the Venue preset, and I just adjusted the dry and the wet sliders. Then I opened up Fruity Love Filter on the Low Pass 2 preset, and I moved this modulation parameter down here. And then for my last melody, I went into the Evolution Infinity Bank in Contact, and I got this flange lead. And with that sound, I put down this electric guitar lead. Similar to the other melody sounds, I tried to keep this pretty simple and just layer it on with what we already have. So this is what it sounds like with the guitar and the bass guitar. For effects on the electric guitar, I opened up an EQ and rolled off the lows and boosted a little bit of the low mids and high mids. Then I opened up Fruity Reverb and put in these settings. I tried to add a good amount of size and decay in order to make the sound a lot wider. And lastly, I added some delay to make the sound wider and also more spacious. So after I had all my stems done out here, I arranged the loop to my liking and then rendered it out as an audio clip. I then imported that into a new project file where I ended up adding the drums. So I kept the tempo the same at 162, but when I dropped it in, I double clicked on the sample here. I set the mode to stretch. I also shifted the sample pitch up by 1/2 step. So the key of all the drums and the 808s are going to be in C sharp minor. For my first drum sound, I grabbed a basic clap and just put down a basic clap pattern. So after putting in the clap, I put in my first of 2 hi-hat patterns. This one is more based off of a 2-step type of pattern, and this is primarily used in the busier parts of the beats like the hook. For this, I just put in a 2-step pattern. Some of these notes have manually adjusted velocities, and then I also put in a bunch of different rolls. The snapping settings I used for the rolls were the 1/6 beat, 1/2 step, and 1/3 step settings. So using the same hi-hat sound, I then added another hi-hat pattern, and this is a little bit different. I tried to make this one a little more spaced out just so there's more room in the verses. I also tried to add a couple less rolls, again, just to add some more room. Overall, this is pretty much a simplified and a spaced out version of the two-step pattern that I previously had. After putting down the first couple drum sounds, I then added this perc. And this kind of takes place of the snare. I just put this down in similar spots and added this roll here in the fourth measure. So now moving on to the 808s. The first 808 sound I opened was this one. So this first 808 pattern is simpler, and I also tried to pair it with a simpler hi-hat pattern, just so again on the verses there's just more room to rap on. And similar to the other bass patterns that we have, this just follows the root notes of the guitar pattern. For my next 808 pattern, I grabbed this boosted spins. Using that sound, I put in this pattern, and like I said, this is more active in the busier parts of the beats with the two-step hi-hats and the hook. Overall, the pattern is pretty similar. I just added a few more notes and then also threw in a couple slides. And then lastly, I opened up a right kick. Then I put down this kick pattern to accent the 808 and just make certain notes hit harder.